2-on-1 night?
Yeah. What's up? Boom. Go ahead.
You want to run a 2-on-1 night?
Right in front.
You want to run a 2-on-1 night?
Absolutely.
So let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Let's make it happen.
Intro 01. Jake Paul just got absolutely roasted by Floyd Mayweather after pulling the plug on his fight with Mike Tyson. What started as a highly hyped spectacle is now looking more like a publicity stunt, exactly what some seasoned boxing minds predicted all along. Jake hyped it up like it was going to be an epic showdown, but as fight night crept closer, he bailed. No real explanation, no accountability. And let's be honest, he should have known from day one that boxing legends like Mayweather wouldn't let that slide. From the beginning, Jake Paul came off super confident about taking on Tyson. In every interview, every podcast, he acted like he had it all figured out. But the more he talked, the harder it was to tell if he was serious or just addicted to attention. People thought he was either bold or completely insane for calling out Tyson. But underneath all that showmanship, there was definitely some strategy. In boxing, even being infamous can fill your pockets, and that seems to be Jake's true aim. And to be fair, it's been working. He's stepped in the ring with former NBA stars and retired MMA fighters, but when you stack those up against someone like Mike Tyson, Jake's track record looks more like a highlight reel for content than for credibility. Jake's no dummy. He knows what it would mean to fight someone like Tyson. The general consensus? If the fight happened, Jake would leave the ring broken. And not just physically. Public backlash would be brutal. But Jake's whole attitude seemed to be, who cares? Do your thing. Meanwhile, a solid 90% of boxing purists have been trashing Jake from the jump. They think he picked the wrong opponent and lacks the legacy, the technical skill, and the raw experience needed for a bout of this caliber. Before Mayweather even said a word, it was Bernard Hopkins who first reacted, and his take wasn't exactly kind. Hopkins straight up said Jake had no clue what he was getting himself into and warned that Tyson would flatten him. And when it's Bernard Hopkins, aka the Executioner, talking, you pay attention. This guy was middleweight champ for more than a decade and became the oldest world champion in boxing history at 49. So for Jake, having a legend even mention his name could have been flattering, if the tone wasn't so ruthless. To Hopkins, Jake's ignorance of the danger and complexity of facing Tyson was obvious. Despite Jake's rise in popularity, his success leans more on social media reach than real boxing ability, which is a huge contrast from fighters like Hopkins and Tyson, who bled for every win. Then came Joe Calzaghe, dropping another bomb on Jake. His words? Jake Paul is all talk. Tyson's going to shut him up for good. Calzaghe, the undefeated pride of Wales, held the WBO super middleweight title for over 10 years and unified his division. For him, greatness in boxing is about discipline, respect, and the grind, things he believes Jake hasn't shown. When Calzaghe said Tyson would silence Jake, he didn't just mean defeat. He meant total transformation, breaking the ego, crushing the confidence, and exposing the fraud. He sees Tyson as the truth-teller boxing needs right now. To Calzaghe, Jake's rise is a symptom of a bigger issue in boxing. The line between entertainment and authentic competition has gotten way too blurry. He believes Tyson is the one who can bring things back into balance. Despite the criticism, Jake kept brushing it off in his podcast appearances, staying cocky. He said things like, "I'm definitely going to win. I'm gonna mess him up. No question." That level of certainty, especially when you're talking about fighting a legend like Tyson, isn't just confidence. It's dangerous. Fighters do need self-belief, sure, but Jake's bold claims mostly seem designed to make headlines and keep him trending. The real test? Actually stepping into the ring. One clean hit from Tyson, and Jake's going to get a very real reminder of what boxing is. Sure, the video views will go crazy, but the bruises to his reputation might last a whole lot longer. And then there's Mayweather, who went in on Jake with zero mercy. Jake might have thought this whole thing was just an exhibition, but Floyd wasn't in the mood to play. He joked, "What's in the water over there in the UK? You'll be duckin', bro. Duck, goose. Ouch." Jake's known more for pranks and YouTube antics than for hard work in the gym. And his response to Floyd's roast? Pretty much a mess of words. It's a pro fight now, so it's war. I'm gonna, equate him up. What? The reality is, Jake is still very new to the boxing world. Jumping into a legitimate pro fight without the right background is a gamble. These fights have strict rules, real risks, and long-term consequences. And calling it a war doesn't change the fact that Jake might be wildly unprepared. From Disney Channel to the fight card, Jake's journey has been packed with loud claims and big risks. But whether he can actually deliver in the ring, that's a whole different story. And as soon as Hopkins, Calzaghe, and Mayweather started roasting him, Jake had to start rethinking his plan. Eventually, he pulled out of the fight, and now we're seeing the aftermath. Then Lennox Lewis chimed in, and he didn't mince words either. He said, "Jake Paul is a joke in the boxing world. Tyson's going to handle him easily." Coming from one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, that's not just a jab, that's a knockout. Lewis held the undisputed heavyweight title and beat legends like Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, and Vitaly Klitschko. If someone with that resume calls you a joke, it's serious. Lewis wasn't trying to be petty. He was pointing out a bigger issue. Jake's fast-track rise is skipping all the hard lessons and earned respect that boxers used to fight for. His comment reflects a frustration felt by many boxing purists. And when Lewis says Tyson will end it quickly, he means it. He knows exactly how brutal Tyson can be, even today. This fight isn't just about Jake's hype machine, it's about defending the sport's integrity. To Lewis, Tyson represents the old-school standard, and he sees this matchup as a way to remind the world what real boxing looks like. Deontay Wilder also weighed in, and he didn't hold back either. "Jake Paul's going to regret ever stepping into the ring with Tyson," he said. And when Wilder talks about regret, he's not just talking about pain, he's talking about the mental toll. This guy built his career on vicious knockouts and intense rivalries, and he knows firsthand what it takes to survive in boxing. Wilder believes Jake doesn't have the mental grit, the discipline, or the toughness needed for a fight of this scale. He respects Tyson too much to pretend this is a fair fight. Even though Tyson's no longer in his prime, he's still one of the most dangerous men to ever step into the ring. Wilder sees Jake walking into something he isn't remotely prepared for. And the regret? That's what happens when you treat boxing like content instead of combat. In the end, Jake canceling the fight may have saved his face, and possibly his health, but it also opened him up to criticism from just about every legend in the sport. And just when you thought Jake had taken all the heat he could, Sugar Ray Leonard came in with the finishing blow. Reportedly, Leonard's words were the final push that made Jake pull out. He said, "Jake Paul thinks he's a boxer, but he's not. Tyson's going to show him the difference." Brutal. Leonard's critique comes from a deep love for the sport. He's a master technician who earned his place in history through years of dedication and victories over the best. So when Leonard speaks, people listen. He sees Jake's rise not as a boxing success story, but as a media spectacle. For Leonard, real boxing comes from grit, pain, and skill, not from Instagram followers. When he says Tyson will show him the difference, he means that Jake's illusion of being a real boxer will shatter the moment he steps in with someone who's truly elite. Leonard respects the craft, and is frustrated that entertainment has taken over authenticity. To Leonard, Tyson represents a kind of boxing purity that Jake can't fake. This isn't just about a fight, it's about teaching a lesson. Tyson, even at this stage in life, can still be the guy who delivers that hard truth. And this is just scratching the surface. Tons of other boxing voices have sounded off on this fight, some more vicious, some more forgiving. But most agree, Jake's decision to cancel was probably smart. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Did Jake dodge a disaster, or did he just chicken out? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and share it with your fight fam.